Welcome to another edition of the Hockey Talk podcast. On episode 18, the Sin Bin's Cameron Turner interviews AHL veteran defenseman Jon Blum. Blum has played in the NHL, AHL, KHL, and SHL over the span of an 11-year career. Cameron covers his entire career, from playing roller hockey in Southern California, being recruited for and playing in the WHL, his personal family hardships during his teen years, and his experience both in Russia and playing for USA Hockey at the 2018 Winter Olympic Games. Enjoy.
All right. First off, I just wanted to ask you how you got into hockey and kind of what started that passion at a young age.
Yeah, for me, being in Southern California, hockey was pretty rare to play, I would say. So the way I got into it was just playing street hockey out in the street in front of my house on a cul-de-sac. We had a lot of kids, and we would just be in our shoes and playing with sticks and balls and pucks, and it was pretty fun. And then when Gretzky got traded to the Kings in the early 90s, that kind of had a nice crave of hockey, made it pretty big, so people wanted to play hockey, and I guess I was one of those kids, and started out by playing roller hockey, and then I think when I was about 5 or 6, switched to ice hockey and started to try out for club teams and made those, and then just played ice hockey for the rest.
And going over to the ice hockey in California, what was the competition level or the leagues like at that time?
Yeah, it was very small. There was only maybe 4 to 6 teams around in Southern California, only a couple of good ones. I was fortunate enough to play for one of the better ones. We had a couple of good coaches that started a brand new club called the California Wave, and we would travel probably 3 or 4 times a year to Chicago, Toronto, out east to play in these tournaments, and we'd do really well for a group of California kids, and we kind of put California hockey on the map at an early age. And then as the years gone on and hockey got bigger, California has kind of become a powerhouse for hockey.
Yeah, going through those tournaments, and what was kind of the process like of being noticed by scouts in the WHL and then getting drafted into juniors up in Vancouver?
Yeah, it was definitely interesting. You're 13, 14 years old going up to Western Canada playing in these tournaments, and you're seeing a ton of scouts in the stands, and they're all dressed up, and you're used to just surfing before a hockey game or going to the beach and showing up to the rink and playing. But when you go to those tournaments, they're a lot more professional and kind of exposes you to the reality of the sport, what it is. And it was cool as a young kid to play in front of all those people and have a little pressure because 2 years later you're playing in the Western Hockey League as a 16-year-old, and you're playing in the WHL finals and the Memorial Cup, and so nothing kind of gets you ready for that kind of stage as a 16-year-old.
And getting drafted by Vancouver, was that something where they kind of, they give you a call to let you know what's going on, or are you able to kind of follow the draft live, or how does that work?
Yeah, I remember being at school and getting selected. I was just kind of refreshing, going to the computer lab or whatever you call it, and go and refresh the pages every 30 minutes or so to see if I got drafted, and ended up being drafted by Vancouver in the 7th round. One of our coaches down here had a good connection with Vancouver, so I think he had a good input on me to tell them to pick me, and definitely worked out for me in Vancouver.
And taking a turn for a second, out between getting drafted and first playing with Vancouver, there was some personal tragedy. Is that something you mind going over, or kind of the process of how that was and the choice to continue to play or not?
Yeah, that's fine. It was definitely at 15, you lose your twin sister in a house fire, and then 6 months later, your mom is diagnosed with cancer and not given more than a couple months to live, and at that time it was me making a decision if I wanted to go play in Vancouver in junior hockey or stay home and just play in California. And be with my mom, but she was strong enough to let her boy go and tell me to go chase my dreams, and I did that. And luckily, my mom was able to fight, cancer for 10 plus years and stay on this earth for that amount of time. And it was awesome. She let me go do what I wanted to do because, as a mom, you want your kids to do the best they can for themselves. And like you said, we all worked so hard as a family to put me in that spot, and they wanted me to go to Vancouver and play hockey.
And then once you got to Vancouver, things kind of clicked. You were able to produce immediately. You guys won the WHL, and then a year later the Memorial Cup. What was it like playing at that level and being able to compete and win championships in the WHL?
Yeah, it was the funnest time of my hockey career, junior hockey. Loved everything about it. Not only were we on a good team, we're in a good city with great fans playing in the Pacific Coliseum, and hosting the Memorial Cup in front of 16,000, 17,000 people, winning it on home ice. You couldn't ask for a better junior career, and for me to have 4 great years there and to win CHL Defenseman of the Year, it was a great ride I had, and I loved every moment of it. I loved the club. I loved the owners, the coaches. I owe a lot to that franchise, and I can obviously see myself going back there coaching one day, and it'd be a pretty fun opportunity.
And that led to getting drafted. Kind of a two-part question here. Getting drafted in the first round, first born and raised California kid to go in the first round. What was that experience like? And then going back for one more year in Vancouver without having to worry about where you're going to get drafted. Kind of how was that?
Yeah, it was obviously a great personal thing to do, to be the first ever California kid drafted in the first round. It's hard to believe, with California being so big and a lot of kids playing hockey, that I was the first one, but it's pretty cool to have that under my belt. And I look back now and just hockey's so big here in California, and I just love to help out the kids now, because when I was growing up, there wasn't much knowledge of the Western Hockey League or the U.S. national team. There wasn't many people doing those things when I was there, so we were kind of just testing the waters all by ourselves. But now you look, and a lot of California kids are making names for themselves in college and Western League and everything like that. So I think people learn quick now, and they all have a plan. So it's nice to be able to talk to kids now and just tell them your experience. And then, like I said, getting drafted and going back to Vancouver, you don't have to worry, like you said, a little less pressure, but, you're playing in World Juniors and stuff like that, and you're trying to make those teams, so obviously there's pressure from that aspect of playing on one of the biggest stages of junior hockey and World Juniors, and playing in Canada, in front of 21,000 people in Ottawa, and you're playing on New Year's Eve, and it's pretty hostile environment being an American, but those are the memories you have and the experiences you have growing up as a kid.
And you, with the junior teams, your second time around, and then with Vancouver later on, you were able to captain those teams. What's it like being the captain of such prolific teams?
Yeah, pretty cool. One of the coolest things is being the captain of the World Junior team. Anytime you can put on a home country sweater and play in such an elite tournament like that, and not only be the captain but represent your nation there, is a really cool honor and something to always remember. And being a captain in Vancouver, same thing. They put a lot of trust in you to be a leader, and it doesn't matter what league you're in and stuff like that. You have to represent your team and organization, their values and stuff like that. So it's a humbling experience to wear that letter.
And then moving on, you got drafted by Nashville, of course, and you spent 5 years between Milwaukee and Nashville. What's it like when you're kind of going back and forth? What's the daily life like in that situation?
Yeah, it's definitely it was definitely different Milwaukee to Nashville. I was still younger, like 22, played a year and a half in the minors, and then playing the end of the season and playoffs in Nashville, and then the next year playing half the year. It's not so bad when you're 23, 24 years old going up and down because, if you just have a girlfriend or whatever, but when you get to be 26, 27, and you have a family, and you're traveling, you're getting called up for about a week, and you're driving from Iowa to Minnesota, and, someone just got injured, and you're only going to be there. It doesn't matter how you play. You probably could have a hat trick every game. You're going to get sent down because Jared Spurgeon or Ryan Suter's coming back in the lineup, so you kind of know where you just kind of fit. You're kind of just a replacement player for the week, and, that's harder, and, it kind of gets down on you. And that's probably one of the reasons why I left because, at the end of the day, when you're doing really well in the AHL and then the next year they want to give you a big salary cut, it's not worth staying in that organization and can't do much since you're restricted free agent. So I dipped out and went to Russia to make a little money and provide for my family and have fun at hockey again.
Speaking of that, going over to Russia, what's it like, as an American going over and playing in the KHL, kind of a completely different, environment and atmosphere?
Yeah, it's definitely different. It made hockey more enjoyable for me again. I got to play a lot against a lot of good competition and, kind of be the guy again. And being an American going to Russia, it has little effect. I mean, the fans there are great. They don't care if you're from America, Canada, or whatever. They just love that you're there, providing for the hockey team and doing well on the ice and stuff like that. And when the whole Russia-USA tension thing was going on, I think built up by the media, people are people and they respect each other and like each other. If you're a nice guy, they're gonna like you no matter what. So going over there wasn't an issue for me in that aspect.
And like you said, you were able to fit in and play at a high level over there. You were made captain of Vladivostok as well. Kind of comparing that to your captaincy back over on this side of the pond, what's it like captaining a team in a country where you're not native?
Yeah, it's definitely different. Some of the guys don't speak English, so when you're the captain and stuff like that, it's kind of hard to get the message through, and it's definitely a different challenge from being in a AHL locker room and you're the captain or the NHL and stuff like that where everyone speaks good English, but it's definitely a challenge, but a cool experience to have that, and and a lot of the coaches and that, you put a lot of trust in you to be the leader, and you just got to show up. And over there, I think they don't, even when I'm in Sweden, they don't have very many vocal guys in the locker room and stuff like that. So that's why towards the end of the year this year, I wore an A, and I was a captain one game too. So just being vocal in the locker is something I think they miss over on that side of the world. So usually Americans, Canadians, North Americans are a little more talkative in the locker, and coaches seem to like that when you come overseas.
And do you think that ability to kind of lead squads over there and be successful, that led to the opportunity in 2018 when the Olympic squad came calling?
Yeah, I was in the KHL, wasn't playing for the best team, but I was playing 29 minutes a game in the second best league in the world and about a half a point a game. So I think, it was a good decision. They were able to pick me because playing on the big ice and stuff like that I was already used to it for a couple of years. So I think it helped me pretty well over there.
And how was that experience like, at the highest level, the Olympics, everybody, was paying attention, watching on TV. What's it like putting on the USA sweater at that level?
Yeah, that was probably the coolest moment of my hockey career. Being able to come out and wear the USA sweater, like I said, at the biggest level. Obviously, we didn't finish that great, but, when you're playing Russia in the Olympics and you have the fans chanting USA, USA, it just gives you goosebumps running down your spine, and you're hopping out there for warm-ups, and you see how intense the crowd is and stuff like that, and you're playing one of your rivals in Russia. Something I'll never forget. It's just tremendous experience to be able to bring my family there, and then to be able to see me play was really cool. And even like the city I live in, they got behind it and had watch parties and stuff. So it brought a lot of people together, and we'll see what happens in 2022 if the NHL guys go.
Yeah, is that something you're looking at? Do you stay in contact with the Olympic officials, or how does that go with preparation between?
I'm actually on the board of directors for USA Hockey, so I still get to talk to a lot of the head guys there in USA Hockey and hear from them every couple months. So that definitely helps. But as of the talks for the NHL guys, I have no idea what's going to happen with that. It's in China, so who knows what the world is going on, what will happen. So, I guess it's just month. No one really knows.
Speaking of what's going on, you're over in Sweden this year. What was it like playing overseas when everything kind of broke out and the season abruptly halted everywhere?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. Sweden, I guess, is one of the only countries that really didn't shut down. But the last game of the season, we played with no fans, and that was pretty wild. The atmosphere, obviously, there's no atmosphere. It's pretty dead. It was the last game of the season, so it wasn't too intense. That's why it would be very interesting to see how these games go if the NHL came back and playoffs playing with no fans. Because it does. When there's an empty arena and you're hearing everybody talk out there, you're hearing the coaches scream. It's pretty different. The game we played at the end of the season there, we won 7-4, and one of our guys had 5 goals, and it just didn't even feel real. So it'd be interesting to watch, that's for sure.
Going off of that, you having played in that atmosphere and with the talks about what potentially could go on as far as trying to finish the NHL season, do you think it would be even worth it? Would it be any resemblance of fair play?
I think it'd be worth it. It's the NHL playoffs, so everyone's gonna get fired up for that. It doesn't matter if there's no fans in there and stuff like that. Competitive edge of the NHL players playing in a playoff atmosphere or a playoff game is gonna raise the intensity right there. But it's very interesting, that's for sure. I've heard people talk about if someone won the Stanley Cup this year, it would kind of be an asterisk and stuff like that. So it's just so different, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Kind of changes everything about off-season preparation too. Do you know anything about when you'll be able to go back to Sweden, or if you're going back to Sweden, or anything like that?
We already had the schedule out in September, and I think going back end of July, like last year I went, and early August, starting the training camp, and I haven't heard anything different. I don't know if when we start the season, if it'll be 50% occupancy for fans, or how it's going to work. I don't know the details about that, but I just know they have a schedule out, and it starts, I think, second week of September, maybe, the games, the regular season. So as for now, it looks fine for them to start.
Close it out with some quick fire fun questions and whatnot. What kind of music do you listen to, or what's your favorite group?
I like punk rock, and Rise Against would probably be my favorite band.
Punk rock. I think you're at 89. I'm at 88, so we probably listen to a lot of the same bands, My Chemical Romance or Blink-182, All American Rejects, things like that as well.
Yeah. Just NoFX, Rancid, Social Distortion, kind of like the older punk rock. What I tend to like, being from Southern California.
Do you have any fandoms or any shows or musical groups that you are very passionate about, or follow around or watch everything? Or
No, not so much. Just kind of into anything. Right now, it just doesn't matter what's either on TV or playing. It's just finding something to do and occupy this time that we have, because it's pretty boring. So into anything about right now.
Do you play a lot of PlayStation, or have you played NHL? Do you play as yourself?
No, I haven't played Xbox or PlayStation probably about 7 years. Once I got my wife and stuff like that, and then now with kids, don't really have much time to play. Kind of one of the things I gave up.
Right. How are you guys spending your touring time? Are you guys able to all go out, or not really go out, but spend more time as a family? How's that been?
Yeah, I mean, that's all there is. It's just our family. A lot of the play places and stuff like that are closed, so it's just all about trying to entertain the kids, because their attention span's pretty short, so they want to do a bunch of different things, and I think that's kind of hard for a parent right now when everything's closed and you're just trying to find anything to do to entertain your kids. I think it's pretty challenging.
Thanks for listening to the Hockey Talk podcast. Be sure to listen to all of our shows on Apple, Android, Google, and many more podcast services. Special thanks to our sponsors, Sporfy, Dash Auctions, and No Name Hockey, for their continued support of minor league hockey news and analysis. Follow the Sinbin online at thesinbin.net or through social media on Twitter at Sinbin News or on Facebook at facebook.com/thesinbin.net.